Welcome to Lesson 9, Relating Fractions and Decimals to Division. You've seen these fractions before. We have a half, we have 2/4, we have 4/8. You can tell that all these fractions are the same, and if I asked you to write the decimal, you would tell me that the decimal for these fractions is 0.5 or 5/10. But most people don't realize how do we convert a fraction into a decimal. You have heard me say before that a fraction is the same as a division question. So a fraction of 1/2 can be written as top number divided by the bottom number. So it's 1 divided by 2. Now if you want to do this on your calculator, it'll be really quick and you'll get your decimal, but you could also do it the long division way. Now the long division way will look something like this. So first we have to make sure we write it correctly. 1 is in the house here, and 2 is on the outside. 1 divided by 2. So we know that 2 does not fit into 1, so we would write a 0 there. And now we have a problem. What do we do? Well, 1 and 1.0, in fact 1.00, however many you want to write, is the same. So I'm going to line up my decimal point here. And I'm going to now ask myself how many 2's fit into the number 10, because we have 10 over here. And I know that there are 5 of them. So I'm going to put the 5 here. 5 times 2 is 10. I subtract. I have nothing left over, so I am done. And there's my decimal of 5/10. So you don't have to use the long division way. You could simply use your calculator, but in case you were wondering how the math actually works, this is it. So let's look at another example. 4/6. On your calculator, you could simply punch in 4 divided by 6, or if you want to do it on paper, the old-fashioned way, 4 divided by 6 would look like this. So I know I can't fit any 6's into a 4, so that's going to be a 0. My decimal point lines up. And now it's 6 into 40, or 40 divided by 6. So I know that I can fit 6 6's into 40, because 6 times 6 is 36. I subtract, 4 left over, I'll drop down my 0, and I got 40 again, so I put a 6. I can add another 0 here. 6 times 6 is 36, and 4, drop down my 0, and you notice that there's a pattern here that is going to continue on forever and ever and ever. So I could just simply write down that 6 again. The 6's will continue forever. However, if I'm rounding, if I'm cutting it off here, I just want 2 decimal points. Because this is a 6, it's going to bump this one up to a 7. So I'm going to simply write 67 hundredths as my final answer. If you punched it into your calculator, you would get the same thing. So before we continue with another example, let's remind ourselves of what a fraction is. A fraction is made up of 2 numbers, one on top of the other. The top number is called the numerator, and it tells us how many pieces we have altogether. So here we see that there are 3 slices of pizza. That's how many are actually there, how many are left. The bottom number, the denominator, tells us how many pieces it takes to make the whole thing. So we see that 4 pieces would complete one whole pizza, but we only have 3 of them. So let's look at this example. We have what look like were 9 complete pizzas, but a bunch of pieces have been eaten. So we want to know what the fraction is that represents the pieces that we have left. So keep in mind the denominator, the bottom number, tells you how many pieces make one whole pizza. So you could tell from this empty tray over here in the top left corner that 8 pieces once made up one whole pizza. So that's my denominator, 8. The numerator, the top number, is how many pieces are left. How many do we have altogether? So pause the video and count to see how many pieces are left. altogether. So if you counted correctly, you would see that there are 36 slices of pizza left altogether. So my fraction that represents the pizzas that are there is 36/8. Now this is called a irregular fraction because the number on the top, the numerator, is bigger than the denominator. You're not used to seeing this type of fraction, but it still works. So top number divided by bottom number to get your decimal, 36 divided by 8. You can punch that into your calculator if you'd like, or you could try to do it the long division way if you want to give yourself an extra challenge. So go ahead and pause the video if you want to try this out and come back once you have an answer, and I'll do this while the video is paused as well. So when I do the division, my answer is 4.5 or 4 5/10, which means 4 1/2. So that tells me that I should have altogether 4 complete pizzas plus another half of a pizza. So let's see if that would actually work. Let's take this one lonely slice up here and let's fill it in down here. So I'll just put an X through that one. Let's take these 2 slices and fill them in over here. Let's take these 3 slices and fill them in over here. So I've got no slices left over by themselves. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 complete pizzas plus a half. So 4 1/2 pizzas, which I could also write down as a mixed fraction like this, 4 1/2. So this, and this all, and the picture as well over here, all show the same amounts. So hopefully that's not too confusing, but we're just showing different ways of showing the same amount. So just to clarify, a fraction where the top number, the numerator, is smaller than the bottom number is called a regular fraction. Those are the fractions we're used to seeing. And those fractions are always less than 1. They're always going to be 0 point something. In this case, it's 6/10. And a fraction where the top number is bigger than the bottom number is called an improper fraction. I called it an irregular fraction, but it's actually called an improper fraction. We're not used to seeing these types of fractions as often, but they still do work, and these fractions always show a number that is bigger than 1. So in this case, our decimal would be 1 67/100. So just the difference between regular and improper fractions. So in this lesson, you learned how to relate fractions and decimals to one another through division. You learned that a fraction is a division question. It's always numerator divided by denominator, top divided by bottom. So in this example here, it would be 3 divided by 4. And you could do it the long division way, or you could punch it into your calculator. Either way, you would get an answer of 75/100. So that's all you really need to remember, is that a fraction is a division question. So have fun working with fractions and decimals using division. Watch the video again and ask your teacher for help if you need it.